But good evening, President McCoy, members of the board, and Westminster Public Schools community. I'm honored to be before all of you tonight to deliver, believe it or not, my 9th annual State of the District report, and to speak with you about what we have accomplished in Westminster Public Schools over the last year, and even more importantly, where we're headed in 2020. At the risk of emitting a couple of groans from an obvious play on words and an audience without a sense of humor, I want you to know that in the year 2020, we have a very clear vision of the future, no LASIK required. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Also, it's a play on words because we are concluding our strategic plan, our 5-year strategic plan, completed in 4, called Vision 2020. We pride ourselves as being a district where education is personal, with our innovative competency-based system. However, in the summer of 2019, we also literally and figuratively became a district of distinction, one of just 34 districts in the country so named by District Administration magazine. And the publication said, quote, "These districts have developed innovative programs to support students in their education and well beyond the classroom. We hope our readers are inspired by the efforts of these honorees to create successful initiatives in their own districts," end quote. And there were also more honors. The Colorado Department of Education recognized 2 of our schools for outstanding work in 2019. For the 2nd year in a row, Colorado STEM Academy received the Governor's Distinguished Improvement Award for high levels of growth among its students, and Skyline Vista was awarded the Colorado Department of Education's Center of Excellence Award for its efforts in moving students, many of them at high risk, forward. And Sandy Steiner, sitting right up here, Post-Secondary and Workforce Readiness Director, and her team were given the District Individual Career Academic Plan Award for their continuing efforts to prepare students for the all-important day after graduation. And in just a bit, I'm going to go into a little more detail about some of our other plans concerning the career technical education programs here in the school district. So while the district as a whole received important accolades last year, so did some individuals, and I want to give them a shout out as well. Your last board meeting, Melissa Sandoval, the Support Director of Social Emotional Learning and Student Agency, became the first educator in the country to receive certification from the National Dropout Prevention Center for specialized training designed to help students overcome adversity in their lives and stay in school. It's important work because we all know that when students are struggling with personal issues, their attendance and schoolwork suffers. And Chalkbeat, Colorado, I believe, is speaking with Melissa this week to highlight that work. ARC named Donna Daly from our Instructional Services Center the Adams County Professional of the Year for her tireless work in advocating for our students with disabilities and helping them transition from school to the workforce. When we reached out to her about her award, she said very humbly, "It took me a long time to find it, but this is my dream job." And we are so proud of her and grateful to have her on our team. This spring, the communications team hopes to profile Donna and visit the job site of one of her former students. It is inspiring work. And this past year, teacher Seth Abbott at John E. Flynn of Marzano Academy became the first teacher in the country to achieve Level 3 certification of Marzano's highly reliable teachers as a component of highly reliable schools. The combined efforts of professionals across the district is evident in the results we are seeing in the classroom. Our success would not have been possible without the support of our boards of education, and I say boards plural for a reason. As you know, last year's board was named State Board of the Year by CASB, and Dino Valenti was presented the McGuffey Award for his years of service to this community. Mr. Valenti's legacy is being followed now by still another graduate of our community, Christine Martinez. She and this new board will continue to provide sustained visionary leadership in the district, and quite honestly, board, I have to tell you, if it had not been for sustained leadership, we would not have been at this competency-based education game for more than a decade now. Earlier this month, we were proud to report that our graduation rates continued to climb as our dropout rates declined. Four-year graduation rates for the Westminster Public Schools class of 2019 increased by just more than 2%, surpassing the state average increase and meeting our mission of continuous improvement. Westminster High School's four-year rate increased from 79.1% to 81.9%, while the rate at Hidden Lake High School, the district's alternative high school, also improved. And the state of Colorado's graduation rate increased by just 0.4 percentage points to 81.1%. Of significant note is the continued increase in the five-year graduation rate in the district. The five-year graduation rate at Westminster High School is 85.8%, which exceeds the state average of 84.9%. And in addition, Westminster High School's dropout rate declined from 2% to 1.6%, while Hidden Lake's figure dropped as well. The state of Colorado dropout rate is now 2%. As you know, we are not fans of the state's accountability system, in case you haven't heard that, and its reliance on high-stakes once-a-year testing to rank and sort our schools. But even by their standards, we continue to make significant progress with our competency-based system. Westminster Public Schools remained an improvement district, and for the fourth consecutive year, our elementary and middle school students showed an increase in academic achievement in both English language arts and math as measured by the Colorado Department of Education. On the ninth grade PSAT, Westminster Public Schools had the second highest increase in total scale scores of any of the surrounding districts in the metro area, and the highest scale score increase in evidence-based reading and writing. On the 10th grade PSAT, Westminster Public Schools showed slight overall scale score gains, while most of the surrounding metro districts and the state of Colorado all declined. That said, we still have a lot of work to do. As I look back at 2019, I also believe it's important to comment on our collaborative relationship with our staff and Westminster Education Association. In keeping with our commitment to attract and retain highly qualified staff, we negotiated a 2-year labor agreement, which means starting teacher pay begins at more than $50,000 a year, the highest level in the state. We have also created a salary structure that rewards teachers who invest in continuing their education and professional growth. At a time of significant teacher shortage nationwide, we are doing everything possible to not only bring new teachers to WPS, but also encourage them to stay and even retire here. There are some early indications that we will have a decrease in teacher turnover at the end of the school year, and if that holds true, that will be welcome news. So all of these celebrations, pieces of data, and background information have set the stage for us to move decisively into the next decade. We are now developing a 5-year plan tentatively called Destination 2025. As we know, our road has not always been easy, and we have had obstacles placed in our way as we strive to reach our destination. An education system that is equitable and prepares everyone for the day after graduation. And chief among those obstacles that we still encounter, the Colorado Department of Education, the State Board of Education, an antiquated public school funding system, poor or outdated educational legislative laws and policies, some politicians, and even some educators who are complacent and comfortable with the status quo. And given those challenges, a quote from Paulo Coelho, the Brazilian novelist who wrote The Alchemist, is worth remembering. If you only walk on sunny days, you'll never reach your destination. And I'm so proud of our Board of Education and our community for repeatedly standing up for our competency-based system and leading the charge for equitable and fair accountability and funding systems. As I said in December when I spoke before the annual gathering at the Colorado Association of School Boards, leading change, challenging the status quo, is hard work, but I believe as a state we are at a unique moment in time that makes it possible. There's a consensus in the field that we can do better. High-stakes test scores have been flat in our state for more than a decade, and the age-old divide between rich and poor, big and small, and urban and rural is being replaced with diverse districts coming together to talk about possible legislative fixes that may benefit us all. Late last year, we brought superintendents from across Colorado to Westminster High School to begin talking about those legislative fixes and start discussions about an accountability system that better defines what makes a good school. On my superintendent webpage, I have posted a guest column from last week's Denver Post that shares the perspective of the leadership team here in Westminster Public Schools. And in October of 2020, we will host our third annual summit on competency-based education. Westminster Public Schools has become one of the go-to places for superintendents, principals, teachers, and Board of Education members who realize it's time to bring meaningful change to public education. We proudly share our journey with interested educators while also making it clear that we do not claim to have all the answers. However, one thing is constantly on my mind: together, all of us are smarter than any one of us. Because we are a district where education is personal, we are continually striving to give our families the option to find the school that works for them and their children, regardless of what specific neighborhood they live in. We have a newspaper ad coming out in the Westminster window that captures our philosophy. It reads, "From daycare to diplomas and everything in between." In the fall, FM Day Elementary will become the Early Learning Center at FM Day and offer infant, toddler, and preschool care to about 150 children who live in the community, as well as for children of Westminster Public Schools employees. The Learning Center will include a lab partnership with Metropolitan State University that will allow us to grow our own, meaning Westminster High School students will get on-the-job learning opportunities and eventually go on to graduate with degrees, which will allow them to work in early childhood and special education programs. This will increase our number of early learning centers to 3 across the school district. Also, in the southern part of our district, Scott Carpenter Middle School will open next fall as the Colorado Sports Leadership Academy, a K-8 school offering a solid foundational education for all children in all core elements, along with added support for students who are eager to learn more about possible careers in a sports-related industry. Careers ranging from physical therapy, nutrition, and sports medicine to broadcast and print journalism, marketing, business, and statistics. All these interests can be expanded at Westminster High School. In our study session this evening, the board will also be hearing about proposed changes to Tennyson Knolls Elementary that will further expand student choices and opportunities. And this year, the Metropolitan Arts Academy also opened and further expanded our creative arts pipeline in the district. In December, we broke ground on the new Skyline Vista building that is scheduled to open as pre-K-8 in the fall of 2021. And it was marked by a wonderful community celebration, complete with hot chocolate for everyone and presents for our young students. And thank you once again to our taxpayers for making it possible to both renovate and build new facilities to enhance our programs and further not only our academic efforts, but our safety and security advancements as well. And I would be remiss if I did not say a special thank you to our operations and maintenance teams who have done yeoman's duty. So thank you, Don and team. As we expand our K-8 schools, I'm excited to tell you that we are embedding career technical education programs in the middle school years that will lead to some wonderful opportunities at the high school level and beyond. Tonight, I am also proud to tell you about newly approved grants that will enhance our CTE programs. 2 of our high school teachers will now have the opportunity to earn master's degrees in software engineering so they can pass along their knowledge and expertise to support student development for in-demand careers. We also received a grant that will allow qualified concurrent enrollment students to take college-level courses in English and algebra here at the high school. In addition, we can offer transportation assistance to students attending classes with our higher education partners like Front Range Community College. We have also received grant funding to remove the economic barrier of fees and books for students in financial need. And later this spring, the board will get an in-depth look at our accomplishments to date and possible plans for the future. And speaking of the future, our Futures program that provides organized sports opportunities to our middle school students is in high gear, and our students are already benefiting from it. Just this weekend, our Westie Futures boys basketball team, our A team, won the North Metro Middle School Basketball Championship. They received a trophy, and I hope we can honor them here in front of the board before very long. And this spring, we will participate in the Denver Broncos Futures Football League, featuring games for 8th grade students. Many of them will then transition into summer football for the Westminster High School football program. Also, beginning tomorrow, Westie Athletics will begin hosting the Westie Leadership Speaker Series. So tomorrow, former CU women's basketball head coach Seal Berry will speak to Westie High School student athletes. And in February, Denver Bronco Philip Lindsay, a graduate of Denver South High School, will speak to our student athletes. And finally, the Westminster High School's girls basketball team is 10-5 and second in the league currently. And if they keep it up, they will likely make it to the state playoffs. So root them on. These are exciting times, and these are also times for all of us to take a breath and focus on the things that unite us, as opposed to what divides us. I'm not just talking about politics. Across the country, in Colorado, and sad to say here in WPS, we are hearing too many stories of ugly remarks or actions directed against people who are simply doing their jobs and end up on the receiving end of people's frustration. Somewhere, somehow, our culture has made it okay to lash out at people. So tonight, and I'm going to ask Christina, she'll pass this down for me, I have a draft civility policy to present to the Board of Education for consideration, and hopefully after a first reading, a second reading, and adoption at an upcoming board meeting. Yes, we encourage people to express their opinions, but that does not include the right to say abusive or threatening things to public employees. A part of what we're trying to teach our children is the importance of being a good human being and treating everyone with respect regardless of differing viewpoints. All of us should be held accountable for our personal behaviors. And I want to close tonight on a personal note. We have all heard the phrase coined by Charles Dickens in A Tale of Two Cities, "It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times." It's hard to believe that this spring will mark nearly a decade as superintendent for me. And most recently in December, I received a 25-year service pin for the school district. I've been honored and privileged to serve our community in all of these positions, and that is what this journey has been for me, both professionally and personally. As many of you know, the Colorado Association of School Executives gave me the honor of the 2020 Colorado Superintendent of the Year Award, and the Metro North Chamber of Commerce this year honored me with the 2019 Woman of the Year recognition. And both of these honors were incredibly humbling and only possible because of the amazing, dedicated staff and leaders here in Westminster Public Schools. And in this past year, we were blessed in our family personally with the arrival of our 6th grandchild, June Carolina, and I have to tell you, I thought about it today. All 6 of our grandchildren were born during the time I've been in the superintendent's chair. So this is what happens when mama's not home enough. That's all I can say. So, of course, the number of people responsible for all those happy outcomes was far less than Westminster Public Schools staff, that's for sure. On the other end of the happiness spectrum, however, my family was dealt a real scare at the end of the year when my husband Randy was diagnosed with cancer. And because of early detection and some fantastic medical care, we're confident he'll make a full recovery and be on the golf course by summer. And so my point here is I often refer to Westminster Public Schools as a family, and this has never been more true from my vantage point, both professionally and personally, so thank all of you. I look forward to a productive and challenging 2020 and working with all of you in the WPS community. Our public education system is at its best when everyone's involved. So in closing, please know that the state of Westminster Public Schools is strong and our children are better because of it. Thank you for listening, and that concludes my report.